Did you walk around the floor much during the show? What were some of the most interesting products that you saw?
I did get a chance because in addition to the interviews that I was doing and the forum, which we'll talk about later, I was able to largely use my new GoPro Hero 10 to talk to, I think I got like 4 vlog interviews because I wanted to supplement my traditional, political work there, because you could get away with talking with politicians, but I tried not to obviously be too partisan in asking my questions about their races, but more so about their attitudes about the show. But like I said earlier, I'm trying to capture more of the product side of the show. I have done so in the past, but now that I have this GoPro Hero 10, it's a little easier to record people's comments and do B-roll and intermix it all together. So there were 4 products that I'll be highlighting in particular. But they're a diverse kind of set of items. I was sad that Silencer Co. was not present. I was looking forward to seeing some of their new suppressors, but I think they assessed the risk of going to SHOT Show and thought, well, we're already being successful, I think, or maybe they didn't want to come because of COVID. Not sure their reasoning, but I was disappointed not to see them, but I know that they will once again be there. But I got to see some eyewear that is essential for target shooting, SSP spyware or eyewear. I think they're out of the Midwest, and some friends of mine have worked with them for many years, and they're like, Gabby, come to the booth and come test the product. So you'll see in a vlog that I'll have sometime in the coming week or so, me kind of testing it and seeing the radar more effectively. So it has really clear precision. You can see very clearly. I was wearing contacts then, so I was able to see a lot more readily than I would with my traditional glasses that I usually wear here. But that was really cool to see because eyewear is extremely important. A lot of people focus on guns and shotguns and firearms and rifles, but I think the accessories often get neglected. So I wanted to highlight that as well. I also got to see some friends from Trent Marsh. I think you know Trent as well, and he works for one of the trail cam companies. So he showcased to me kind of their new products that are out right now because of SHOT Show and how they differ from traditional trail cams. So a lot of people who hunt like to record footage and video of animals that come to their backyard for leisure purposes or to track and scout different animals. So that was really cool to learn more about their offerings. I also got to meet the folks from Polymer 80, which you have talked about at length at the Reload, and how they've been targeted by Nevada lawmakers with Assembly Bill, I believe it was 286, and actually how one of the state judges actually ruled in their favor, put a permanent injunction to forbid the state of Nevada from discriminating against them. So they were able to get protections. I think the judge ruled that under Nevada's constitution, under the First Amendment and other provisions, that they can't be targeted ruthlessly under that law. So they talked a little bit about some product offerings, about their 80 receivers, and then also about their court case and how, despite those challenges, that they have been recognized as a legal business. Obviously, they had that affirmed, and they talked about the virtues of custom gun making, which I know is going to be a very common subject, because I think from Rob Ribeiro, I forget his last name, but one of the guys who runs great Second Amendment coverage, and I know open source defense folks, they're really good about covering about ghost guns. So we'll hear about ghost guns and custom guns. So I wanted to get them on record for that. And then I got to learn about some new products from Zero Delta, which is also a firearms manufacturer. A friend and her husband run the company, and they really know how to innovate the market with attaching handguns to make rifles. And perhaps I'm not explaining it in more specific
it's
terms.
It's like a modular firearm,
yes.
right? That they have some concept that you can take a handgun platform and make it into a rifle platform. Can you actually talk a little bit more about that? Did you see that product in person?
I did, yes. And they had a similar model like that from a few years ago. But it was a modular product where they attached the handgun to the rifle. And I can send you more details if you're curious. And Rocky was at our dinner when we went to Guy Fieri.
Yes, we did go to Guy Fieri's and get the trash can.
That was also something, we all did. But, so I'll have to reconnect you with Rocky.
Interesting, though. I mean, the possibility to, I guess, build out your gun in all sorts of different configurations beyond just adding rails or whatever to it is a pretty unique concept at this point. Obviously, we've seen a lot of modular guns come up recently where the frame of the gun, like the SIG P320, is interchangeable with all kinds of different grips, but this sounds like sort of a next level beyond that.
Yeah, and I'll have to connect you to Rocky again following our dinner, because I think you would really be fascinated by the Zero Delta modular gun that they have. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of interesting products on the floor this year that I ran across as well, or at Range Day too. You had the Lago Alien, which I've talked about with Ian McCollum from Forgotten Weapons. He's very very big on that gun. He's very excited about the sort of innovations in it, the combination of technologies that are a bit different from what most handguns on the market today are utilizing. And I actually saw him at the booth for Lago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I ran into him there. So that was kind of serendipitous, I guess. And I shot the gun, and yeah, you can tell a difference, I think, in the follow-up shots when you're rapid firing. There's not as much muzzle flip. The gun does not rise up as much, so it's easier to keep it on target consistently, which I think is going to benefit a lot of people. Right now, it's probably only beneficial to the sort of competitor market or the really high-end market, because it's like a $4,000 gun in its current configuration. But it was good to shoot that. And then, I walked around and saw, for instance, Rock Island Armory is getting into making their own guns. It's sort of like what Kimber did. Usually Rock at first Kimber was doing 1911s almost exclusively, and then they started making their own proprietary designs for handguns from there. And now Rock Island is sort of the same story, where they started doing 1911s, and now they're moving into more proprietary designs. Then they now have a striker-fired semi-automatic handgun. It's a aluminum frame instead of polymer, but it was interesting to see them get into that. And then the biggest, probably the biggest trend that I saw was the introduction of a new round, the 30 Super Carry, which is getting a lot of attention, and a lot of companies were introducing guns based around that caliber. It's a brand new caliber. It's similar to the 9mm. It's a little smaller, so you can carry more rounds, but I believe it's supposed to be ideally it's supposed to be as effective as your traditional 9mm round when it comes to stopping power. And the 9mm is quite an old design at this point, over 100 years old, over 130 years old, I think. And so it's interesting to see the industry trying to adopt something new like that. I saw it integrated into the Smith & Wesson Shield line, and including the EZ line, which is a fascinating product that they seem to be making more of, which I think is good, because it's. Have you ever used the EZ?
I don't think I have. I have an M&P Shield.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mentioned this new caliber, it actually is very much piquing my interest. It's first I've heard of it, so yeah. I'll have to read more about your reporting on this and how it differs, or maybe relates to the 9mm round, because that's really cool if they're trying to innovate the bullet market even, or ammunition, to kind of reflect the times and create something that's more versatile, has more staying power, and that could be effective whether you're target shooting, or if they do implement it even into a hunting platform. Although you do see in some states handguns being allowed to be used in hunting, but it's not as common as like shooting with or hunting with rifles.
Right, and usually it has to be very high caliber. This is basically somewhere between a 380 and a 9mm, but it's meant to be sort of a modern replacement to the 9mm, or a modern competitor for it, I guess. But you can fit more rounds into the same size magazine is the idea, and you don't lose as much of that stopping power that people want in a self-defense gun. Of course, at this point, the 9mm market is so well developed that you can fit 15 rounds of 9mm into a single stack, sized package, a very small carry gun already. So, how much of an advantage it is remains to be seen, but it is an interesting development. That's probably one of the only big trends I saw in the industry this year. Usually you could see, everyone's moving towards towards bullpups, or everyone's moving towards 10 millimeter or whatever. There's some trend going on in the industry, and you can see it at range day because everyone's got their version of the thing. And 30 super carry is probably the closest to that this year, but there wasn't really a ton of trend making. It's sort of I think because of all the backlogs and supply issues, and we've seen over the last 2 years, they're kind of just saying, look, here are the guns we have. These are available today. We're focusing on trying to put these out more so than introducing some new trendy product. So that was also an interesting takeaway, I think.